Hey folks, this is Andy Port. We're just waiting for a few folks to populate our room and the audience, so just bear with us a moment.
Andy, I think Jamie needs to be let in. There he is. Okay.
I'm in. Thank you.
There's Heather.
And Don, I'll just monitor our audience and make sure that any of the panelists are promoted accordingly.
Great. We'll give it a few more minutes maybe and we can get started.
I think our audience is probably here now.
Yeah. I'm not sure that Jim, I think Jim McCauley would have wanted to join.
Yep. I see him and promoting him right now.
And maybe Christine?
She's here.
Okay. John Eric, I think he will be stepping in at some point.
Yeah, and I believe
Maybe
Diane might be here on his behalf.
Okay. All right, so we can get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Donna Musamici. I know most of you, I'm not sure who's on the call that I don't know yet, but I will be co-chairing this committee going forward with Jamie Tuccolo. As most of you know, Matt has moved on to Boxford. He was chairing this Traffic Safety Advisory Committee. And from here on in, for the time being anyway, I will be co-chairing with Jamie in our DPS department. So I will convene this meeting of September 23rd. We do have an agenda. I think it's up in front of most of you, and Andy Port will help me moderate. He's got some visuals for us, and he will also help control the participation in terms of people wanting to speak. And so with that, I think we'll go forward. Andy, since you know who's on, could you do a quick roll call as to who's here at this meeting?
Yeah, just to note who's here at this time. Donna Musicki, obviously, Councilor McCauley, Tony Komornick from MVPC. He's always been our liaison for transportation issues. Christine Wallace or Councilor Wallace, Councilor Shand, Diane Gagnon, Assistant City Engineer, Jamie Tuccolo, Deputy Director of Public Services, and Lieutenant Samasco from the Police Department. That's who we have here at this time. We do also have a couple of folks in the audience who may wish to speak on any particular agenda item.
Okay, thank you, Andy. I do have on the agenda, we've got a little section here for public comment. I'm not sure if we have anybody actually on the call from the public, but maybe what we could do is start out and see if there is anybody that would like to say a few words for comment. And if not, well, as we move into the agenda, if people do join and wish to speak, we can do that as well.
So if there is anybody who'd like to speak at this time about any agenda items, please just raise your hand. If not, feel free to raise your hand when we get to the applicable agenda items, and perhaps we can circle back then. Not seeing any hands at this time, Chair.
I know there's a few in the works, probably for the next meeting, but so
Donna, this is Heather. I know there are two folks in the attendees list that are going to want to comment on some of the new stuff. So
okay,
I think
great.
Chris Jones and Laura Stacy are both here for some new items.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll be on the lookout for them. Okay, so let's move to the agenda, if you will. New business. There was a discussion that had come to be at the city council. We actually have an order out. This is discussion on a crosswalk at Pleasant and In Street. I think there are a couple of, Jim, maybe you want to get into this one. I think you're
sure.
You're on it. Yep.
So we had, thank you. So we had a request come in from an abutter and several abutters actually now for safety reasons to locate a crosswalk somewhere on In Street, coming out of In Street to cross Pleasant Street. We all know that there's challenges in that particular area finding the right spot to do something like this. As a matter of fact, I was down there today and have some other pictures that show, just how used that area is. I think that this has been referred to Neighborhood and City Services, which handles sidewalks. What their request is from the committee is to have some advisement from TSAC as to where everyone would be comfortable putting this crosswalk in. For one, I'll jump in. This line that goes straight across that says In Street all the way over to Tracy Place is probably the least impactful type of spot because up and down the street, what's not there is the parklets that are laid out. As you can see there from the truck, they use that quite a bit for loading on both sides. Where those and so we run into this dilemma, as we always do, that the easiest place to put a crosswalk would be where the break is coming out of In Street across to Tracy Place, which in itself is a street. We've also noticed that there are no curb cuts on Pleasant Street to handle ADA compliance type of issues. So those are the types of things that would have to be factored into this type of advisement that we're looking for from TSAC. Let me pause there. Thank you.
Jamie, I think you've taken an initial look at the
I have.
area and
Yep.
can you give us an update on thoughts?
Sure. The problem with that particular area is that's a loading zone. You can't put a crosswalk in loading zone. I mean, it just can't happen. I mean, I agree with you 100% that is probably the most sensible place to put a crosswalk. But again, that loading zone, I don't know if you guys are down there a lot, but is used a tremendous amount of the day. My suggestion would be, I'm looking down towards more the post office side, or closer this way towards the Pleasant Street, towards the Green Street. Not to say it can't be done, and not to say there's nothing can be done in between. I agree with you 100%, Counselor, that you have parklets, you have different things that were not there a few years ago that due to COVID have changed the dynamic of Pleasant Street and the layout of. So I think that a site walk like we did the other day, yourself, myself, and whoever else you want to invite, should probably walk it, maybe sit out there for an hour and see how many times that loading zone is used. Is there room to put? Because coming out of In Street itself is kind of a blind spot to begin with, and then you're going to throw a crosswalk there, and then leading it to a loading ramp. I would think that we might want to look somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely a group effort. The residents raised concerns that people just saunter across the street at different angles.
Right.
We really don't have a safe place to cross along Pleasant Street. It's a very busy street. It's a very popular street. It's we cram a lot in there. So again, that we're looking for advice and direction from you folks as a body, right? As an advisory council to let us know. So yeah, glad to do a site walk when it is. By the way, I just forwarded to the chair and Jamie and Andy Port some pics that I took today, just to reinforce what Jamie had mentioned, which is it's a very busy area. So
Okay.
Don, I don't think there's an answer for this today,
Right.
but I do think that we should set an action to do
Yeah.
a site walk over the next week or so.
Yep.
Regardless of the time, it's all going to be the same.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go forward with that. Jamie, I'll coordinate. We'll get some dates, Jim. See who else should be involved, be part of it, and we'll get that set up in the next week.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just for clarification, is there anybody else other than those that are obviously here that would make sense to have there for that site visit, just to make sure you got all the parties you want?
Probably John, Eric, and or Diane. the councilors, myself.
Yep.
And I don't know, Councilor McCauley, if you think anybody else should be there. I mean,
Yeah, I'd invite Barry as the chair of NCS as well, but he's retired, so we can work around our schedule.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll be in touch on that. Great. Okay, and I think Christine's on the call. And
Yes, I am.
next agenda item was the Carter Street request.
I am actually going to hand that off to Counselor Shan because
Yeah.
it's actually in Ward 3. I was helping the resident get on the
Right.
agenda. So
Right.
Heather, are you here?
I am, and actually
Okay.
spoke with Miss Stacy a few weeks ago, and there was a neighborhood meeting Sunday night. And I think this is a simple situation where I just put the order in to reinstall a sign that was taken out by a snowplow years ago that would basically eliminate the issues that are screwing up the parking situation on Carter Street. And honestly, Donna, if you want to let Miss Stacy speak, she is in the Laura
Yeah.
Stacy is there if she is interested in speaking.
Oh, sure. Can you hear me?
There she is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think we have
yeah,
some pictures, Andy.
That's up to individual members.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm on my iPad, so I can't do it from here.
Hi, Stacy, go right ahead if you'd like.
Okay. Am I speaking?
You
Yes,
are.
you are.
Oh, okay. We actually had a neighborhood meeting on Sunday with, I apologize if I'm not saying her name correctly, Afroz,
Yes.
who filled in for you, Heather.
Yep.
So we actually came to an agreement with most of the neighbors that would be involved, with all of them actually, that the sign that used to be there was across, I'm trying to think of what number it is. What's Sandra's number? Sandra Lawson's house, which is a diagonally from mine. The sign used to be there. And from what I understand, it went, I'm not sure if it went the whole length of Merrimack, but we don't need that to happen. We actually agreed that if we could just have no parking from that spot to the driveway of the double house, that would take care of the problem, and that would appease the people on Lower Carter as well.
Right.
So I don't know, Heather, did Afroz mention that to you?
Yes, and actually, Afroz and I talked about it, and I'm just going to put an ordinance into the council packet. It's going to be a late file, which states the no parking on the northerly side from a point opposite west side 30 feet from Griffin Court to the point opposite west side of Cutter's Court. And I think that 30 feet is what was measured Sunday night to where that sign used to be.
Perfect. Okay. Yep. And I think we're all in agreement that that would solve the problem.
Yep. So honestly, if that sign had never been taken out by a snowplow, I don't think we would be having this conversation.
I agree.
so
So, yeah.
Jamie, that's something, once there's,
Once the ordinance is passed,
consensus, we can do that. and-
well, I won't, yeah, I'll put the sign up once the ordinance is passed.
Right. Okay, very
All right.
good. Thank you. Okay, next we have a Pond Street and Auburn Street parking item.
And Chair, I'll just note
Item.
that City Engineer John Eric White is with us as well. I've just promoted him to a panelist as well.
Great. So I think one of the neighbors that asked about this one is also in the audience, but this is the one, Jamie, that we spoke about a few months ago. It was the day that Councilor Vogel and I were discussing the beta plan, the no stopping area or between Pond and at Auburn Street. I'm
Yep,
not sure if you remember that one.
you do, yep.
And there was also the request for the compliant crosswalk. And when I did the walkover, it does look like there are 2 ADA compliant spots there already.
Okay,
So that is one of the, this is up to you guys as far as how to handle the no car standing area, but it sounded like it was a viable option at the time. And if Chris Jones wants to speak to this, I think this is his suggestion.
Chris there?
His hand is up.
Yeah, and Chris, you'll have to unmute on your end as well.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
We can, thank you.
Yes.
There we go. Wow, technology. Well, you get retired and you forget all these little things. Anyway, thanks for the couple minutes here. Yeah, I originally, sent this out just cars coming Route 1 north. If they're trying to take a right, if somebody's blocking the intersection to Auburn Street on Pond Street, cars, there we go. Cars cannot be taking a left onto Auburn Street, right where their finger is, yeah, because it's blocked. And so traffic backs up on Route 1 and you're just waiting for that rear end collision to happen. And there hasn't been any that I'm aware of, but it's just, everybody just stops right there. There is a do not block intersection, but just in my travels, seeing other parts of the country, they put these big, do not block the box, I believe is the terminology, which is, what you're seeing on your screen there, something in there, just people don't pay attention. That's all it is. And I think, and I'll finish up here, and I think there should be a do not block the intersection, further down on the end of the crosswalk there, so people can read it, because you don't even see it in the picture. The do not block the intersection sign is further up the street, further up the cemetery. So that's it. There was a couple other issues that I had, but for right now, that was just the people blocking the intersection. Not a big deal, unless it is.
Thank you, Chris. I noticed we have Don Little's hand raised. He's probably interested in speaking to this as well.
Yep.
Don, would you like to address the issue?
Yes, Don Little, 6 Cottage Court. It's pretty much the same thing. Part of it is, traffic coming from Route 1 trying to turn left onto Auburn, but it's really frustrating for the residents trying to cross Pond Street when traffic is coming down Pond Street with a red light. Yep, I agree. There's a do not block sign where it's supposed to be before the intersection, but nobody reads it, it's not read enough, I guess. So whatever can be done, if painting the road would be appreciated. Thanks.
Any thoughts, anybody?
Yeah, Donna, I think I can handle this. Can you hear me?
Yes, yep. John, yep, John Eric, yep.
Yep. I can go out there and take a look at it. There's plenty of, everyone in this meeting is probably driven through an intersection that had the whole intersection hatched out with gore lines of pavement markings. I can go out there and take a look at it with Jamie, and we can come up with a solution.
Yep, agreed.
Okay,
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
I do agree, because right off the top of my head, I don't want to belabor this, but the whole intersection needs to be hatched out. And the sign needs to be about 20 feet prior to Pond Street, not near Route 1. It's just not in the right location.
okay.
Yeah, okay, very good.
All right, so we'll do that and report at the next meeting on that one. High Street, crosswalk at Cary Ave.
Yes, so this is one where I actually walked with Tony a month or so ago, and the request was to ask the neighbor across the street about having the crosswalk come directly to the entrance to her house, and she had no problems with it whatsoever. She was actually happy to hear that we were looking into doing a crosswalk at this location, because she just sees so many people leaving the rail trail trying to cross High Street, and it's very tough. People are going to just jaywalk, so it's not a good spot. But yeah, you can see there's already an ADA compliant spot on the right side of your picture. And the neighbor across the street had no issues with us going pretty close to her front door. So, and there is a spot there that's, the curbing is almost at the same level as the pavement. So
So
Jamie?
thoughts on that, or is there an ADA issue there, Jamie, or is there any?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna answer that until I actually go out there and physically. I'll take it right out there tomorrow, Heather, and.
Great.
If
Look at the elevation.
he knows that, we are very backed up, so.
Oh, I totally understand, Jamie.
Right, so if we have to do ADA, it will not be this construction yet.
Understood. But I will say there is a location, and this doesn't really show up here in this picture.
Right, that's why I want to do it, like, I'll literally, maybe when Eric and I go check out on Auburn, and we can shoot over there real quick, and I can park and we can take it.
Great.
Tony
Thanks so
saw it
much.
too, Heather. Tony already saw it, so two.
Yeah, Tony and I actually saw it
Okay.
a month ago. The question was the neighbor concerned with us doing a crosswalk closer to her front door, and she didn't have an issue.
So
Okay.
that's not an issue. Good.
Don, I just noted we have Chris Jones's raised hand, I assume for this item maybe as well. Chris,
Go
did
ahead,
you want to
Chris.
address the committee on this item?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Go right ahead.
Okay, I just have a question. When you all say, put in a crosswalk like this one going from left to right here, like you have here, do you also mean that you're gonna put in the lights, the crossing lights that are up on High Street, all the new, this is kind of
No.
an ignorant question, just your basic painted crosswalk.
Right, and then it gets evaluated at that point, if more actions need to be taken, then you contact your counselors, and then we meet as a group like we did on High Street out there, and we evaluate the situation.
Well, I'll just say my 2 cents, like everybody's driven that road, coming right from where that car, in this lane here, this during the afternoon when the sun is going down, that is brutal. You don't see cars, let alone pedestrians. So just not that much can be done about that, but that's just a fact of life. The sun, you're blinded by the sun during the late afternoon coming this direction here.
Coming towards us. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's just a fact of life. But anyway, all right, I'll shut up. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question for Heather on this. This is
Mhm.
John Eric. What prompted this?
I've had more than a few residents who have asked about getting a crosswalk from the rail trail at the exit onto High Street. And I know this isn't at where the rail trail exits, but when I talked with Tony, he was looking at, possibilities of using already existing ADA compliant spots, which is why he suggested going to, the rail trail would be about, 20 yards from where this current one is, but there's not an ADA compliant ramp there. So the thought was to utilize the ADA compliant ramp that we've already got and go across the street. And when you guys take a look at what's across the street, you might notice there is a spot that, it's
I mean,
pretty much on level.
Yeah, no, the building a ramp is not the issue in my head. So anyone walking east towards towards the Frog Pond, they'll be crossing at the crosswalk that you see in front of us, the existing one behind that blue car. So do you really think people coming off the rail trail will head east, cross at this crosswalk, and then head west to go towards west towards Story Ave?
Well, the two folks that mentioned the crosswalk to me in the first place said that anything closer is a help. So that's all I can tell you. Now, if you can put a crosswalk right where the rail trail is, that'd be great. But I don't think you've got, like Jamie said, you don't have an ADA compliant ramp to start with. So, I think that's the better spot for it, no doubt. But
yeah, because putting one there just because there's a ramp there, it's you have one very close. I know intersections have one on all four corners on cross intersections. I get that.
When you guys go out and take a look tomorrow, let me know what you think. If you think it's a possibility of putting one right there at the rail trail exit, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Figure out where you think it's best.
Yeah, that's no problem. We can do that. We'll do.
Okay.
Okay. And another crosswalk discussion at Boardman and Merrimack?
So this is my last
Heather?
one. I'm done. I'm done with crosswalks. So Jamie, I know you guys are moving the crosswalk from where its current location is to the other side of Boardman, closer to the entrance at the insurance company door.
Yes.
I've had more than a few neighbors who are very excited about what's going on Boardman Street right now. Basically say that the crosswalk, regardless of what side it's on, people are not slowing down. I was
Mhm.
wondering, can you guys put a sign in the middle of the road similar to what you do on High Street, where it's just a slow? I think there's
Pedestrian
one.
sign? Like a pedestrian sign?
Yeah.
Of course, yes. Well,
Okay.
once it's constructed and once we put the crosswalk in, we will, yes, I'm making a note now. There'll be a pedestrian crosswalk. And sometimes like getting a sponsor would be great, because what happens is late at night, people hit these things. They're not cheap. They're $350 a piece. And once you get hit, I mean, you can see it on Bow Street. That was out there for 2 weeks before it got whacked. So some sponsors, what they do is at night, they'll take them in, and in the morning, they'll put them back out.
That
Usually
doesn't sound like a good
in
idea.
the summertime, when the tourist season is more ramped up.
Yeah, I've had two folks specifically on Boardman, and one of them said he was walking across the street and he had his dog in his arms and a car almost hit him.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's
what's
crazy.
up? What's up with that? So, I mean, they're just not seeing the crosswalk sign that's already there. So I think something in the middle of the street would just be
well, that's not a
helpful.
problem. That's not a problem.
Okay. All right. Donna, I'm done. My
Okay,
work here is
thank
done
you,
today.
Heather. Okay,
I think Councilor Wallace has her hand up.
I can't see. Oh, there she is. Yep. Christine?
Yes, just really quickly with regards to the sponsor. Yeah, I agree with Jamie. We've, got a sponsor at Natural Grocer. Usually it's a business because it's in their best interest to put the crosswalk sign there. And then, when they're getting ready for the day or closing down, they bring it in and out, or they're supposed to anyway. So I don't know if, at some point there might be a business down on that end that might be able
Well,
to
there
help out
is.
if they've contacted you.
This is the whole reason for moving the crosswalk to the other
Yeah, the
side,
insurance
because it's that
company is right
insurance
there.
company. That's a good
Yeah.
point, Christine. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean,
He's right to the
it's a
insurance company.
good partnership there. So just a suggestion.
That's a good one. Thank you.
What business were you gonna tap? Heather?
It's the insurance company that's at
Yeah.
the bottom of Boardman Street.
Yeah. Good. Okay, a thought. Next, Andy was gonna give us a quick update on the Route 1 repaving and the traffic circle job.
Sure. I think it's been a while since this group has discussed this particular project. I know certainly last year we had thrown up on the screen a couple of sketches that are essentially the diagrams that we got from Mass DOT for how they plan to redo the traffic circle. As you know, we did the Parker Street sections, both near the 40R district and the One Boston Way side, to make sure there's a connection from the rail trail to Route 1 on the west side. The more recent Parker Street improvements with the Complete Streets project going next to the hardware store, crossing to the courthouse. And what we talked about before is the fact that Mass DOT is doing a repaving project of Route 1. As part of that, they're rolling in some related ancillary improvements, not wholesale necessarily redesign of that intersection, but some improvements to the safety, the alignment, the striping of that intersection or the rotary, and then also making sure that there's an east-west connection, which is one of the concerns the city had for the shared use path. And we had discussed as part of that the control, lighted crosswalk that crosses Route 1 itself that they'd be putting in. I think the city engineer had raised concern about the 2-lane exit from the rotary and the possibility of sightline concerns there. Mass DOT had taken that concern under advisement. The most recent update I think we have from them as of today is that they are looking at they were originally planning on working with us on a public informational meeting to let the public know what they're planning on doing and answer any questions that might have been had. That was a request from the city council, I think going back to last year. They've are now, getting to some sort of meeting with us at our request to do that. We have been asking for some time. And what they are doing right now, as we understand it, is also looking at some of the analysis they've done to see if the rotary itself could be reduced to a single lane. I can't speak to the merits or the feasibility of doing that. That's still to be discussed. And I think, and partly it's something that they're looking at. But that may be something that would also, I assume, potentially address the issue that that the city engineer had raised. And I defer to John Eric if he has comments. But as of right now, we're waiting both for the scheduling of a public informational meeting at which Mass DOT would actually be there and be able to answer questions about their project that we, are working in coordination with them on, but it is their project and their jurisdiction. And two, what that will reveal as far as any adjustments to the plan that we last saw, whether it's 2-lane rotary and what the exit pattern is out of the rotary. So any updated plans will obviously get out, to folks. We just don't have that just yet.
Questions, comments, anyone? Okay. So, and I'll just make a note, is there anybody wishing to make public comment? Andy, do you see anybody?
I think Councilor McCauley's hand is up.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Yeah, no, just a quick question. Thank you for the update, Andy. Did they indicate, within the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or is it indefinite? I'm just curious.
That's a great question. We were actually originally planning on trying to nail down a date at the end of this month, and then it got kicked out a little bit further based on our understanding that they're working with their consultants. So we're still expecting within, say, the next month to have that. And we have been efforting, I think, to the point I think you and some other councilors have made, that they come here and present the project and let us know what they're doing. So they have been responsive to scheduling. However, they ended up pushing out a couple of weeks. So I do expect within the next month or so to be able to pin down a date for that and to hopefully be able to provide an updated plan that shows what they are thinking, taking into account the single lane option.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, on to old business, which looks like most of it is ongoing business. So John Eric, I think you're on the call. You were going to present what you've come up with for Rawson Avenue in terms of
Yep.
solution there.
John Eric, did you want the plan view or the photos first?
Oh, Andy, you got the wheel here.
The photos and the plan, I guess.
Yep. We'll do the photos first. That's fine. So hopefully everyone on this call has been at this intersection. This is on, as you can read, it's on Highland. You can't take a right, and you can only take a left. So as you're sitting here, the problem is people on the right coming up from Rawson. There's no stop sign. There's no stopped condition for them. They just drive through, and that tree right there is a huge visibility issue. That's number one. Number two, cars flying up here. I have a better solution than having them drive through. I'm proposing to put a stop sign, but this problem is it's mostly a site issue. It's a site issue with the vegetation, but also it's a practicality issue of cars flying over the hill when a stop sign really could help out at this location because it's at the corner of the hospital. If you look at the next picture down, if you can scroll up a little, if you can scroll up a little bit, there you go. That's just simply looking straight at Rawson in the opposite direction. We have two do not enters. I'm proposing to get rid of the do not enter on the left and replace that with a stop sign. The one on the bottom is just your basic, it's just a photo just about to drive through the intersection. And I don't know how often this car is parked. This car is not in motion. This car is parked. And that has a little bit to play with my decision of putting a stop sign. Without a stop sign, and when there's a car parked here, that's a huge problem. So yeah, we could put a no parking sign, but I think this warrants a stop condition. So if you go to the sketch that I put together, and then go to this one here. If you can zoom out, It's pretty basic. I'll let your eyes adjust to what you're looking at. The lines are the property lines from my map. I kind of sort of apologize for that. But Rawson is on the bottom coming up. Simply take the existing sign on the right where I have the stop line. Take the existing sign that's holding the do not enter, take off the do not enter, put a stop, have a stop line with the word stop across the whole way. On the left side, put a no parking, and definitely have our DPS guys trim the branches. I think this is the simplest solution. And the crosswalk further up, I didn't notice an existing sign for a pedestrian crossing. So having the cars fly up with that crosswalk is also unsafe. So that's it. I think it's pretty basic. So Christine brought it to my attention. People have contacted her. People have contacted, who else, Christine? They contacted another city councilor, and I'm just replying to them. And I think this is a good solution.
Sure, yeah, I can follow up if that's okay. Yeah, this is just a follow-up from, sorry, that's my dog. Sorry, a follow-up from previous, hold on, please hold. How about if anybody has any questions, they can.
Yeah, I'll jump in, Christine, I'll jump in. John Eric, I got a couple. So my thought is, what should we remove a do not enter sign? Because you of all people know, like I do, that once something's removed and somebody notices something on the left-hand side, if they're coming up, they might not see the one sign versus the two signs. So why not put the stop sign on the back of the do not enter sign?
Okay, excellent question. Andy, if you can go to the picture of the photograph of looking at the two do not enters. So Jamie, you're new to the position. You're learning a lot about traffic. You aren't supposed to put a sign on the backside of a stop sign. Stop signs are octagon for a reason, so people can see the shape. If you leave that do not enter and put a stop sign there, people on Highland will not know that that is a stop condition. So to repeat, stop signs should not have a sign on the backside, because when you look at it from the backside, you don't see the shape.
Yep, but what about putting a sign right in front of that sign and putting it with a stop bar?
Well, this is my theory, and this is, I'm not against it, keeping this do not enter on that side. But this is my theory, Jamie. The one on the right is appropriate. You put a thick stop line across the whole way, and the reason why I'm putting the words STOP on the ground, which is unconventional, is only because of the uniqueness, and it might be. Yeah, that's all. And then so as you're driving down here, because you're driving towards, right now, this photo is a legal driving maneuver for a car ready to take a right on Highland. As I drive and I continue in this direction, that do not enter on the right is all I really need. I mean, it's not required to have two. Two is definitely helpful. So it's not required. So my proposal stands.
I got you. No, I'm just wondering. Yep.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all.
Hi, I'm back. I got the dog to quiet down. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, John Eric. I never knew that about stop signs, so that may help. And I think the lines, any painting on the road would be very helpful. Just a little bit of context here. This was a follow-up from the questions we had just on the safety of Rawson in general. And this is one of the shorter term solutions that we're looking at, was working on the safety of this intersection. The longer term is a little bit, will take a little more design, and that's to perhaps do a sidewalk all the way along Rawson. But just an update, I have reached out to the hospital. There's a new facilities manager, and I sent them the sketch and the resident concerns. And I don't think they're going to have any issues with it, but I still want to, make sure they're in the loop. And so we might do a meeting on site, and maybe John Eric, you could join us at that time. And just to understand, their traffic patterns and if this is something that could work for them. And the goal is that once this kind of gets okay through this committee, for me to put in an order into the city council, just so we can get the stop sign approved or whatever signage we need. And hopefully have that done, before the end of the year, before the council turns over and we get a new administration. It would just be nice to have that, because there's a lot of kids that use Rawson and that area to get to school. So anything we can do would be helpful. Especially that one house on the corner right across from Highland. She's ended up with cars in her yard. So it's really unsafe up there. The one thing, John Eric, when we did our site visit, we had also talked about potentially a stop sign on the other side of Rawson coming from the hospital. And I thought we talked maybe about a stop line only on, half of Highland. So I guess my question is, did you consider any other pavement marking or signage changes, or just this one first and see how it goes?
Good question. So I was in a rush to physically produce this drawing for this meeting. I forgot we talked about that coming up Russ, and from the other way, approaching that crosswalk. There's no reason why we can't have a stop condition there for the absolute safety of, because of the crosswalk and the situation that it entails, which means you can't go straight anyways. So you're pretty much going to a slow, very slow right turn maneuver anyways. Yeah, let me go back and look at that. And
Yeah, well, like I said, if we do have, this would be something we would definitely run by the folks at the hospital too, because the emergency room is right there. They have ambulances, all that good stuff. So if we do have a meeting, like I said, maybe you could join us.
yeah, no, I can do that. Because what I do remember, sorry for cutting you off, what I do remember, Christine, is you brought to my attention that the curvature of that curve going from Ross and taking a right on Highland is very poor, like you were saying, and the crosswalk is like that could be cleaned up a little bit too.
Right. So, I mean, it may be a combination of signage and striping that the city could do in the next few months. And then if there's, more infrastructure upgrades, maybe the hospital could help out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to kind of have like, well, what's our ideal solution? And then what can we realistically do, kind of thing. But I mean, if this committee would be okay with us kind of making that decision next week, and then it's going to go to the city council public safety committee anyway, and be vetted through there. I would be good with that.
Okay, so Jim, you get your hand up, Jim?
Yeah, I do. Two
Yeah.
quick things. One, this is already in front of public safety. It's communication 334 and 335. So we can streamline the process a little bit once we get the plan. So that's FYI. The question I have is where the no parking sign is coming up Rawson just before the stop sign. Could we talk about maybe swapping a sign for maybe painting on the ground, like blocking off that section with paint and writing no parking on it versus a sign? My only thought is that it would be more instructive and would allow us flexibility as to where we want to see the sight lines, as opposed to us placing a sign and interpreting, where the no parking area is or not.
Yeah, I mean, from a traffic management standpoint, that's fine. And there is some, that's a good point, Jim. There's some good benefits with that. You can keep the cars to the right, so everyone can see each other better. When you're on the right side approaching the stop sign and taking a left on Highland, you have a better maneuver. If there's a car at the stop sign on Highland and you're on Rawson taking a left, if you're on the left side of Rawson, you have a tougher maneuver. So the further you are to the right, when you're taking a left, it's a better curvature maneuver.
Yeah, I just think we could accommodate with paint versus.
Exactly. So the paint will help out with that. I think it's actually a good idea. I don't object to that. If the TSAC agrees, I don't object to that.
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you for your time.
So would the painting go all the way down the left side of most of the street?
I would propose to go about right now that sign's about 20 feet away. We can make a decision in the field, but I'm thinking about between 20, between 20 and 30.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
okay, so,
Donna, can I grab something off topic real quick? Now that
yeah,
the three counselors on the call, have you guys voted on the striping for Merrimack? Because I gave you guys till like the 15th, and I'm trying to set stuff up, and I'm waiting.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, it was approved a while ago, correct, Jim?
Yeah, last meeting and the meeting before, yeah, we've approved it.
So I'm good to go?
Yeah,
Good to
Okay.
go.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jamie, if you just give me a heads up. Well, I know you notify them, you notify everybody as well, but I can help
Yeah,
get the word
so
out too.
Yeah, what we'll do is the first go around is John Eric, because it's his design. I'm gonna do the pre-markings during the day.
That's right. Yeah, that worked out really, really well.
And so he's there, he can make any questions that are asked, he answers them. And then what I'm gonna do is on this go round is we're gonna plan on doing it at night this time. Because I got a feel of how the company operates. I know that cones are placed every 6 inches. So physically, unless you take out a whole row of cones, we should be fine with as far as people driving on it.
Excellent. So back to this, John Eric. I mean, if you can tweak this plan, it sounds like it doesn't need to come back to TSAC. We can meet with the hospital or meet on site again. And then once we have something final, submit it to Public Safety Committee. A question actually for Jim. It would have to be a new order, correct? So it would have to go in the packet again as something different than the previous communication.
If you, stop signs, I don't think have an order. The no parking would be in order.
Oh, okay.
For that area.
There's still time. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we can.
But that would be it.
Okay.
And Jamie, just to your point, we approved it back on the 13th of September, Merrimack Street. So that's all vetted and ready to go.
great. Okay, so we're good. Can move on to the next item. Pine Hill
Yep.
Road.
Yeah, the number was at number 43 Pine Hill. They had a communication in to the ward council of Ward 6. He brought it to the council. It's been sitting around. It's been one of these open items. They have a child that would warrant a sign at 43 Pine Hill Road.
Speed sign,
A children playing sign.
oh, children playing sign. Are we, Jamie, are we anywhere with that, or do we need to, is that easy?
I can look into that first thing tomorrow morning. I'll look right into it. If I have a sign, I'll plop it up.
And if not, I guess we can order one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll get one.
All right, so that, we'll keep that open, that's gonna be in play, that will in process, get that done. Okay, and then on to the traffic calming, Jim.
Yeah.
I kind of repeated what was there from a prior with the whole, it sounds
Yeah,
like, yeah,
So this is how, we put this in as a placeholder to get the funding from the council for traffic calming and supplies and this and that, right? And the idea was that we're looking for more of the signs that say, slow in the crosswalk. We were looking to see if they had signs that were like those ones that go in the street like that would say, slow 25 miles an hour, something like that, so that we could have a mix of them and disperse them throughout the city as, issues arise, so that we can start to raise awareness. And then when they're not effective, we move them around to other places. And so the placeholders we had was about 100 of them or so. That's what we submitted for budgetary approval. Don't know where that is. Don't know where that conversation is going. I'm assuming it's still in limbo, right?
Well, I would have to get you an update unless Jamie can talk to her.
I can't talk to to that end of it, but I can talk to the end of like, Council, like we did on High Street. I can always, make or MacGyver 25-mile-an-hour signs and put them on the barrels like we did on
Yep.
High Street and like we did on Merrimack Street.
Yep.
So if you just give us a call and I mean, if there's areas that you want it done or that you feel like the speeding is, or you're getting your phones ringing or whatever it is, let us know and we can, until you find out or the finances get worked out on that end of it, we can do something temporarily.
Yep, no, I appreciate that. But it does, we finally got a line item in the budget for these types of items, right, to invest in so that there'd be a budget and it wouldn't come out of the operations budget, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
And so, we were talking about these, what I'll call in-street bollards, which are the ones, we've put out on the crosswalk signs. But it also is the radar signs as well, the ones, that let people the electronic ones that let people know how fast they're going, et
Right over
cetera.
on Montes Hill.
Yeah, right. But the concept that we had proposed was that we buy 2 per ward and move them around and between DPS and again, that was part of the budget that we had submitted, the rationale behind the budget, so that we wouldn't have to MacGyver things all around. So we'd have
a system, yeah.
right. So if the police had a problem, let's say on Ferry Road, they could grab a sign and put it on Ferry Road, and after 2 weeks, when it's non-effective anymore because people are blowing it off, they could take that sign and move it down to Jefferson Street because people are cutting through along the way, right? It's just the concept that we were trying to get to.
That makes sense.
I'll look into where we're at with that, but with the budget piece of that, Jim, and next
thanks.
steps,
Yeah,
how
thanks.
much and how to move forward, what to order, all that kind of good stuff. Are you the contact person in conjunction with us on that?
Yep.
Is that us? Okay, all right.
Yep. Yeah,
All right, so we should get into that. I mean,
Yep.
money, if it was budgeted for, we should move forward, no, Jamie?
Yeah, it was a direct request from Public Safety Committee that we put this in, and the administration acknowledged it and put it in as a line item. So I'd like to get it going.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll follow up on that.
Can I jump in here?
Who said, oh,
Lieutenant
Yes.
Smith, I jump in here?
of course.
I have 2 signs that I've been using for about 8 years now, that meet all our requirements. If they want to have additional signs per ward, it's not something that I need at this time. I do extensive studies with the 2 signs that I already have. My understanding was the ward program would be done by the wards with some sort of sponsor.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
I don't know.
as we explore this, we'll make sure that we take that into account.
Right.
Yeah, I do in the
Thank you.
vicinity of, I do 1-week studies on streets, and as you know, we have about 500 streets in the city. So I do about 60 to 70 studies per year, based on either our needs or complaints that I get. I have 2 signs that have been out since, we don't put them out in the winter for obvious reasons. So probably since April 1st, they've been out nonstop doing studies throughout the city.
Okay, thank you.
Could I jump in just for a minute?
Sure.
So Jim, who is kind of owning this list? I mean, it would be helpful if we can start actually making a list and actually listening to Lieutenant Samasco. That's interesting. If the radar signs are, we don't need the data capabilities, if it's just for traffic calming. But it would be helpful if we kind of designate somebody to start the list and we can start vetting it, because I think it's a great idea. And like, we just put those out on High Street and the residents were very happy to have something temporary. So I think we're ready. Maybe we can get a list and then bring it back to the next TSAC meeting. I don't know. Who do you think should own it?
We gave it to Coogan. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's me.
But I mean, we're
Well-
gonna need some, it's a group of people, this group, I assume, there's gonna be different perspectives and someone just has to start it. So
Yeah,
the specifics of the items that we need.
yeah, understood.
One of the things, or one of my understandings was that the additional signs would be for feedback to the motorists. They wouldn't glean data. They're
Yes.
the educational piece to this. And where my signs, I can do both. I can put them in stealth mode and do studies, or I can display and do studies. I actually don't like doing them in stealth mode because I lose a week of feedback to the motorist. And I found over the years of doing all the studies, there's almost no difference in the speeds. If I do a study 1 week with it in stealth mode, and then I do a second week with it in display mode, it's a mile an hour, and I can't even attribute that to the display, the feedback.
Yeah, no, your first point on that. So yeah, appreciate it. The first point on that was that, yes, what we're trying to do in traffic calming is to raise awareness and educate the driver, right? So the types of signs we were looking for were feedback to we were hoping they were the lesser of the expensive ones, right? To give direct feedback to the motorists to raise awareness and educate them as to how fast over the speed limit they were potentially going, right? And that was not to distract from road studies and speed studies being done by the police department. But that's part of it is enforcement can't be everywhere, and we don't want to ticket everyone, and we're trying to raise that awareness. And so what the conversation was, well, we don't have those, right? We don't have those signs that can give feedback to the motorist, and the problem was budget. So we kind of gave the rationale that said, okay, if we get the budget for it, then we should order the signs as opposed to having the budget and then next year saying, oh, we should have ordered the signs. So that's where we are.
Right. Well, if you buy the package that gleans data, it's $1,500 a year per sign, and the signs run about $6,000 per sign, at least
Those
the
weren't-
ones that we've.
Yeah, those weren't on the list.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, let me do this. Let me resurrect what we have on it, Jim. I'll
Yeah, that'd be
share,
great. Thank you.
and then we'll go from there. But I mean, yeah, if it's already in the budget, we should pursue it. And to Christine's point, whether that's several of us or this committee, let me get an update on it, and we can go
Thank
from
you.
there. Okay, for the
Yep,
next
thank you.
meeting or even beforehand. I'll try to see if I can get where we're at. Doesn't sound like, it sounds like we're on hold, but maybe that was just with Matt leaving and whatnot, year ending, budget approval, all that stuff. All right, and I think the last two items, I just noted them, but I believe they're complete. And so I just noted them as such. I didn't know if anybody had anything they wanted to comment on them. And as far as those go, Auburn Road and Colby Farm Lane.
Just a thank you for both of those. Appreciate the completion of those.
Anytime.
Jamie, could you talk just briefly our next steps on the next two RRFBs? The group, what we're doing with that. And then I think, just so you all know, down the road, we got some additional funding for two more, which we haven't done anything with yet, but we'll be able to plan.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we ordered two more. So the first one that's going to go up is going to be at the Senior Center crossing on High Street. I spoke to you the other day about that. The second one right now is going to go onto the rail, like where the rail trail is down by the wastewater treatment plant. That's a very tight area right there, and people, there's a fence that the line of sight there is terrible. So we're going to put one there, and then hit the spring. We're going to put one at the ball field for the children, where the crosswalk was just installed. And then the fourth one, I do not believe there is a home for that one yet.
Right.
But I'm sure between all of us, we'll find a place for it.
Just a request, Jamie, just an update to everybody. When you're looking at the one on Merrimack at the Pioneer League, just make sure you coordinate with John Eric and Diane, because they're working on a design. for the safety zone there. So we have to figure out
Of course.
where exactly we would put it, because it's got the clubhouse and all that. So as long
Yeah,
as you guys
so-
have communication, and if it's
Yeah,
not for the
it's-
spring, we still have time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot of variables there. The location there is probably one of the trickier ones that we are dealing with.
Correct. Yep.
The side of where the parking is on the right side if you're going into town.
Yep.
My first thought is plows, like there is no safe zone to actually put that. So John, Eric, and Diane will be very much involved, yes.
Yeah, and it'll be part of the bigger plan too. So yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Well,
Donna, can I talk about that one minute further?
Sure.
So Christine, I've been overlooking Diane's shoulder as she's designing that. And as she's designing it, she doesn't go very far because she doesn't like it, myself included. She goes to option 2, doesn't like it, option 3, doesn't like it, creates another one, saves all the options. None of them are any good. We need you to come in the office and regroup. We can do it at the site, either one. But maybe we need to get Kim. There's no way to have 2 parking lots. We're just for simplicity, we're calling them 2 separate lots. One to the left of the clubhouse, one to the right, and a drop off in between with a crosswalk in the middle. It just can't. We can't have it.
Okay. Well,
So I wanted
that's
to-
why we put it on the plan and we have you guys do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to come in or whatever works, And
Yep.
actually we should, you know what, it may be a good idea to meet with the Pioneer League. I've talked to them again and they might be able to provide some insight in what might work for them.
Anyone that knows what's going on down there, because I don't like it. In once you'll see it, and I chose to bring it up right now with everyone on this group, because eventually they're going to see the safety zone. And if anyone in this group on this meeting knows whether or not there's any hope of getting money for the parks, if they can go straight to having plenty of money to get the clubhouse out of there and move it, does anyone know if they've gotten closer to getting grant money to?
Oh, that's out now.
Clubhouse isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Okay.
I think our best bet is talking with the Pioneer League, and
Okay.
they know how everybody operates and what will work for them. So
That sounds good.
you and I can coordinate maybe offline for another meeting.
No problem. Sounds good. I'm glad I brought it up.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to address at this time? Okay, so we'll reconvene second Thursday of the month, right? So the next meeting will be October 14th, 4 o'clock. And
Great, thank you.
I'll
Thank
have
you.
you
Thanks, Donna.
all, and we'll follow up on some of the stuff that we can do before the next meeting and be in touch with the appropriate person.
Okay.
Thank
Set
you.
up that
And
site meeting for Pleasant Street and look at the budget. That's 2 things right out of the gate.
Yep.
And this
Okay,
is
John Eric's
Andy.
got a list.
Sorry, this is Andy. If I could just add to what Donna said, in addition to any agenda items that you might email to Donna and Jamie for the posted agenda, if there's any graphics, because I'll probably be hosting the next one as well. If there's any graphics, feel free to send them my way. That way we can pull them up for the meeting.
Yeah.
Great, thank
Yeah,
you.
my first meeting, guys. The graphics are great. Got to have the graphics.
Done.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Good night. Thank you.
All righty, take care. Bye-bye.